back at day 2 of the 4th test between England and India in Ranchi. India have closed 219 for 7. We'll be reflecting on another good day for the visitors, with them holding a crucial 134-run lead. We'll discuss the biggest talking points of the day, and we'll be hearing from the England centurion, Joe Root. So plenty to come over the next 20 minutes or so, as you are listening to Following On. Well, what a great day it has been for England, resuming 302 for 7 in the morning session. They didn't lose their 8th wicket, so they got to 347 for 8. Ollie Robinson, the 8th man out, caught behind off the bowling of Jadeja for 58, his first 50 in Test match cricket. Unfortunately then, Bashir and Anderson both went pretty quickly, both for ducks. Bashir for a 2-baller, Anderson for a 4-baller. So England 353 all out, leaving Joe Root 122 not out. So he only managed to add another 16 to his overnight total, but another 100 for Joe Root. The bowling figures for India: Siraj finished with 2 for 78, Akashdeep 3 for 83, Jadeja 4 for 67 from 1 ball short of 33 overs. Ashwin was 1 for 83, Kuldeep 0 for 22, and Jaiswal bowled that 1 over before close last night, which went for 6. So 353 then the target for India. Rohit Sharma dismissed in only the 3rd over of the innings, caught behind off the bowling of Anderson for 2. Shubman Gill and Jaiswal put on a decent partnership for the 2nd wicket. Shubman Gill getting to 38 before he was LBW to Bashir. That was 86 for 2. Patidar also went to Bashir, LBW for 17. That was 112 for 3. Bashir continued his wicket taking, getting Jadeja caught by Ollie Pope for 12. That was 130 for 4, and the doorway was really starting to open when Bashir got Jaiswal though for 73 as he made it another half century. That was 161 for 5. We're only in the 47th over at that point. Sarfraz for 14 went to Hartley, as did Ashwin for a single. 171 for 6, 177 for 7, 219 for 7 at close of play, as I say, for a 134-run lead. Steve Harmison and Darren Gough are alongside me. Harmy, let's start with you. Good day for England, really good day for England. And to be honest, I mean, I've seen sort of people going, okay, decent position. There's only one dressing room I'd want to be in at the moment, and that's the England one.
Yeah, most definitely. I think not only is it a good day for England, it was a poor day for another poor day for India. I thought they dominated with both bat and then with ball. I thought the body language of India was poor. But fair play to England's 2 young spinners, Hartley and Rashid. Hartley and Bashir, they both bowled fantastically well. They give Ben Stokes a lot of control. They give them, potency when it comes to the sort of lines and lengths, and when they're putting pressure on and making sure that there was no freebies and no release balls for India to get at. When the wicket-taking ball came, which was helpful of the surface, then they were in a position to cash in, and that for me is why they built the pressure up, and then they let the surface do the work. And when you build the pressure like that, you're always asking questions of the batter, and the batter, can they be proactive like Joe Root did yesterday? India really, other than Jaiswal, were dying in a hole and waiting for the inevitable. And I'm not sure if it was India played so badly or if England played brilliantly. I think it was a mixture of both.
Goughy, on that question then, how much pressure did England put on? How much of it was pressure of the surface, and how much of it was self-inflicted by India for you?
Well, I think, as I've said throughout the day's play, I think England have dominated this match really as you look through it. But one of the differences has been yesterday for me, India and the captaincy of Rohit Sharma let the game drift, and that partnership last night, when they should have took the second new ball, allowed Robinson and Root to put together a top partnership, and they carried it on this morning. And I think that was a huge mistake last night. They started this morning, the body language was terrible. The 2 seamers started as though they'd not had a loosener, and they were one up to the mark that you'd expect from international bowlers. Bumrah in the side, that wouldn't have happened. So they let the game drift, and they gave in England, although it was a good partnership, they gave England probably 60 too many. 60. Now, if you take that 60 off the 134 lead, it's then manageable, right? At the moment, England are in such a dominant position. We saw a ball in that last session there. So it's day 2. You've got to remember, this is day 2. This pitch is getting worse. We saw a ball. It went that low. It went under Ben Foakes' feet, who's keeping wicket. So that's going to happen more and more of the game going on. India have to get on, really, to have... I think they have to go past England. But I think realistically now, from here, what's manageable, can they get another 40? And that's still a massive lead of 90 for England.
Yeah, and you mentioned, actually, we need to just wrap up that England innings. To Root and Robinson, I said that Robinson was out caught behind off the bowling of Jadeja, but that doesn't tell the story. He was playing the reverse. He'd actually played some great shots and looked really, really hard to get out. It wasn't until it was the first reverse he'd played. It ran it straight off the face of the bat into the keeper's gloves for 58. His first 50 in Test match cricket. Need to just round up on Joe Root. Ended up 122 not out. We spoke a lot about him yesterday. Joe Root just doing Joe Root things, but in the context of this game, it's been so important for England.
Yeah, so important. I think there was a lot of criticism, and I think we can come on to the criticism a bit later, but there's a lot of criticism of this England team in between Test matches. There was a lot of things I think a lot of people have been wanting to say for 2 years now, get off their chest, about not enjoying watching, some of the stuff that this Bazball group does. And some of the criticism was levelled at Joe, which I found absolutely absurd. Who are we to criticise somebody who's got 11,500 Test runs? The one thing I think tips off the mentality of Joe from this morning was Joe identified, I think, the amount of runs on that surface, and he knew that he needed to eke out every single run possible, rather than just give it away. Can we keep batting for as long as we can to eke out one time on the surface? It's going to get worse. 2, if we can get this to 320, 340, 350, I think Joe Root's thinking anything over 300, just keep racking them up. Don't get greedy and get bowled out for 280 trying to go for that big number. Let's just eke out as much as we can, because this is a difficult surface to score runs on. And I think that's why we didn't see him when he came in with the tail end have a go and try and ramp this and scoop that. I think what he did was he's gone, this is how many we need, and I think as long as I'm here at the end, we are trying to eke out as much as we possibly can. This is a big total.
Sorry, I've been giggling for the last 30 seconds. Our own Cameron Ponsonby will be speaking with Joe very shortly, but we've just been earwigging across the interview Joe has done with TV, and he's just admitted on the TV interview for Indian TV that when he was on 99, he was tempted to go for the reverse ramp to bring up the 100.
And that would have been so Joe Root.
Yes.
I mean, anyway, like I said, people see Joe and they see him in interviews sometimes and think he's quite serious, and he looks a lot younger than he actually is, right? But I'll tell you what, in a dressing room, he's a character and a half. When you need someone to stand up, he stands up and he speaks well. But he's absolutely a great personality. He's funny. And it doesn't surprise me one bit, but that personality, now he's not captain, is coming out in interviews. And that's what I want to see, because that's the real Joe Root. A lot of us have never seen that for years, because he was captain of England and he had to come across as this serious character. You remember back when he first started and he were doing the impressions of Big
Bob
Bad
Willis,
Bob Willis and all that. He's an amazing character. He's a great player. And for me, what happened here, he has bowled a lot this series, and I think that has affected his batting. But building up to this Test match, he's probably hardly had a bowl. He hasn't needed to. And they win the toss, the bat. Remember, they've lost the toss the last few games. They win the toss, the bat, and he's just concentrated on batting. He did. Army's right. He saw the pitch, and he thought, it's only getting worse, this. First innings runs are important. I'm England's best player. I'm going to stand up. And it was a truly magnificent innings in those conditions.
Right, let's turn our attention now to the Indian innings. Shoaib Bashir, 4 for 84. Ben Stokes said when they announced the team the day before, we think his extra height and bounce is going to come into the equation. Well, 4 for 84 out of 219 for 7. He bowled 31 overs on the bounce. That is the longest spell of bowling for England since Wilfred Rhodes in 1930 bowled 51 overs on the bounce. He was 52 at the time, Wilfred Rhodes, when he did that. The longest in Test cricket since 1990, Narendra Hawani bowled 59 overs for England against India at the Oval back in 1990. So he's bowled a lot, but he's bowled really well.
He's bowled very, very well. He's bowled a lot, but he's 20-year-old. You want him to bowl a lot. He's got energy. The beauty for me is his ability to hold his length, whether he was going full or he was going that little bit shorter, at the right speed. He got it spot on. When in his first Test match, you could see there was a little bit of nervousness. They're mixing up the pace was one thing, but mixing up the length we found possibly more difficult on what was a flatter surface in his debut. But this, I think the surface has helped him because more of a negative mindset from India, and when he did drop a little bit short, the batter wasn't in a position to capitalise and hit through the sort of mid-wicket or over mid-wicket region with a cross bat. So all them things went in his favour. I just thought he bowled beautifully. I really did. He's, for a 20-year-old who hasn't played a lot of first-class cricket or any cricket, to go to India and deliver the skill sets, especially today, is a real feather in the cap for not just for him, the young player himself and the young man himself, should be immensely proud of, but for the belief that Stokes has got in him, first and foremost, to give him that many overs in a row with field up, and manage him through it. But to McCullum and Rob Key as well for to come out and picking him. And I know that their hands were possibly tied a little bit with the options they had at their disposal, with no Jack Leach and Rian Ahmed going away. But identifying him in the first place to go out there, he was probably going out there as a drinks carrier to bowl in the nets and see how, is he going to develop for the next tour, and maybe it's the next tour. No, he's gone. He's probably bowled more over, half the overs now than he's bowled in first class cricket, his cricket career. And he's nearly took as many wickets in his first class, in his Test career, than he has in his first class career. So, and before he left the England shores. So I'm so proud of the young man. He's put England in a match-winning position. As he's still got, he's bowled a lot of overs. He's probably still got them same amount of overs to bowl again, to hopefully bowl to England to a victory.
On the spinning department, I guess that's where we were a little bit concerned coming into this series, in the fact that it was Jack Leach and then some untried and tested bowlers, and therefore that experience in India, everyone talks about it, Shane Warne's first tour to India was a bit of a write-off, and it took him a second tour to really get used to it. Well, England's spinners have taken 46 wickets in this series so far. That's the most in India since 1963-64, when they took 48 in a whole series, and we've still got a whole Test after this. Fred Titmus, by the way, took 27 on his own in that. So what they've done there is just been fantastic from the captain's point of view, isn't it, Goffey? In the fact that they've really weighed in.
Absolutely, and I think when you look at the two teams and you look at Ravi Ashwin, who's picked up his 500th Test wicket and has been a diamond performer for many, many years, he's the king. But I think he's been disappointing this series. I'm not saying he's bowled badly, he's just not been as threatening as he normally is. Jadeja has looked the most dangerous by far, looked the most likely to take your wickets. Axar Patel didn't look as good as he did the last series. Kuldeep is hardly used. And then if you look at England, on the other hand, inexperienced spinners, the captain has not been afraid to keep them on, even when they're going for boundaries. And I didn't think Bashir bowled well in his first Test match. I thought he bowled okay, right? Not badly, but okay. But I think this Test match, it surprised me how well he has bowled. He's held his line, he's held his lengths, he's bowled over the wicket, he's bowled round the wicket. He's got right-handers out, he's got left-handers out. He's turned the ball, he's made it bounce, he's made it drift. He's had everything, so he's bowled really well. I think Hartley, I actually believe that's the best Hartley's bowled in the series. Those as a partnership today, when you look at trying to beat India on home soil, you need your two spinners to work together. Look at Panesar and Swan, they did it well together. Now you've got these two. Today, when the pitch went not flat, but India were battling through, those two held their lines and their lengths, and they didn't bowl many bad deliveries. India had to take a risk to score. So credit to Ben Stokes for keeping them on, and credit to the two young lads to keep that confidence, to keep bowling the way they did. So yeah, huge credit.
Rohit Sharma's captaincy. There have been murmurings throughout this series. Harmy, when we were in Hyderabad and the great comeback was on, you were saying, you were just looking out the back of the box one day and you said, he's lost them here. There were players that weren't reacting to him. We had the situation last night. They didn't take the new ball for 10 overs. They went through to 90 overs not taking it. They then take 2 deliveries this morning, bizarrely, before they take it. Rohit Sharma's captaincy is going to come under fire here, isn't it? Because England should not have got 353. It was obvious going to be a low-scoring game. And they kind of, we said earlier, with the Robinson and Root partnership, it kind of drifted. Rohit's got to wear a bit of this because they were allowing singles at the end of the overs, just basic kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think Rohit's got to take a huge amount of criticism for the way he lets the game drift. Goffey mentioned it a bit earlier, but there's nothing in me that tells me that Rohit Sharma is going to inspire India to bowl England out for a one between 120 and 150 to give them a chance to win the game tomorrow or Monday. If it's Ben Stokes, I'll go, yeah, there's a good chance here. Ben's going to, he's not only going to, he's going to rally crawl them overnight and the first thing in the morning, then he's going to go with his best 2 bowlers, which might not be Jimmy Anderson, it might be an Ollie Robinson, a Shoaib Bashir or Tom Hartley. But on the other hand, what I will say about Rohit Sharma, his captaincy, he might have lost his team at times throughout this series. But I'll tell you what, he's standing there scratching his head at mid-on and mid-off going, I've lost my bowler as well because I've got no trust in him whatsoever. I think he's there with Mohammad Siraj. He got close to it a couple of times with, he definitely did with Mukesh Kumar. He had no interest in bowling Mukesh Kumar in Vizag at all. And so I think sometimes the hand that you dealt, I don't think the spin bowlers have been as effective as what I expected them to be. I think some of the surfaces that they've played on probably haven't helped him as a captain, but I don't think he's captained this team very, very well. But I think there's a combination here of not only has he let the game drift and he's captained, I think, poorly and not been proactive, and his bowlers haven't bowled for him. His bowlers really haven't performed for them, has it, Darren?
They haven't, and the only way I'll back him up a little bit, and I don't think he's a natural captain. I think he's a great player, and he's doing it. But I think sometimes a captain's only as good as the team he's got out there, right? And I think if you look at some of the England teams over the years, everybody seems to be a good captain. Whoever's captained the winning Ashes series, that's on paper, right? Everybody, he's a great captain because we won the Ashes. But sometimes you've got to look beyond that. And the situation. India are missing Bumrah this game. They are missing Rahul.
They've chosen to be without Bumrah.
Kohli. They are missing Shami through injury. Pujara is now gone. So they're missing so many players. Pant's been injured. So circumstances, So circumstances is being left with a lot of players who have come into the side, a lot of young players that probably are not India's best 11. So England, when you think about it, although England, if they win this series, it would be an amazing victory. It absolutely would blow everybody's mind. But they'll look at it and think, we've got a great chance of doing this. Look at the players that are missing. They're playing Sarfaraz Khan, who played brilliant on his debut. They've got Patidardin, who looks a little bit nervous. Jarrell's coming to the side and to keep. And although he's playing well, Ashwin's not at his best. You could say it's because England are playing him well. So do you know what I mean? There's lots of things that have slotted into place, but England still, to be in this series and with a great chance of winning this game, have done remarkable.
You don't want to diminish, don't really want to diminish what England have done, because England have been brilliant. This is a bang average India side.
Yeah,
this is a bang average India side. England would beat them, I would say, comfortably in England. I mean, this team doesn't stand a chance in England. But you had said that about the England side going over to India. I thought that right at the very, very start. But the inspirational leader, the senior players have stood up. But don't really want to sort of go on too hard on this isn't a very good India side, because that then diminishes what England have done. No, England have played really, really well. And you go with young players who have been given their heads and they've performed. And fair play to them, because their young players are playing against India's young players, and they're shining well above them at this moment in time.
Well, shall we hear from a centurion? Because
Yes.
Joe Root has indeed been speaking with us. In the last couple of minutes, he's been chatting with Cameron Ponsonby.
Joe, your reflections on day 2 of the Test match?
I think it was another good day for us. To eke that first innings total up to over 350 was a brilliant effort. I thought Robbo played brilliantly both days, but today in particular, to really take it to them and negotiate the new ball and manage to find the boundary as frequently as he did was excellent from him. And then with the ball, I think, in particular the 2 spinners were outstanding, really. On that surface, it was obviously it's going to keep getting trickier and harder for both sides batting wise, but you've still got to ask really good questions of some very good players of spin, and they did that time and time again today and deserved the rewards that they got.
I know the bulk of your work was done yesterday, but just how satisfying was it to walk off 122 not out after a wonderful innings?
Yeah, it was a shame to. It would have been nice to get a bit more of a partnership with Jimmy at the back end there, kind of mess out really. It would have been nice to at least have a proper dart at one of the 2 spinners. I was trying to line Kuldeep up, but it wasn't to be. But yeah, it was nice to get. Like I say, I've had a lean series. I've not performed anywhere near the standard that I expect of myself, and it was nice to step up for the group. Really, it's what you pride yourself on as a player, and yesterday and today to be able to say that I finally actually done something with the bat is quite nice.
After the kind of chatter of the last week, how much temptation was there to get the ramp out for the 100?
It crossed my mind, I'm not going to lie, but it was only a very brief, fleeting thought. So the game's bigger than me, the situation's bigger than any individual, and you've got to just play what you think's the best way to play in any circumstances. And on that surface, it didn't seem like a very good option, so I didn't take it.
This group kind of prides themselves on not getting too high or too low. You've mentioned there the kind of frustrations of having a lean series. Is that something you found difficult over the course of this last month to keep your spirits high when the runs haven't been flowing the way you're used to?
It's not the first time, is it? You play as long as I have, you're going to have ups and downs and times when things go for you and when they don't. And I think it's one of the beautiful bits about experiences. You still probably feel all the same emotions you did at the start or when you're a bit younger, and you've not gone through it before, but you've probably just got a bit more trust in your ability and what you've done previously to get through the other side of it. So knew as a good player I was going to be able to go and do that, and it was just when and making sure that I continually kept working hard, kept trusting my decision making under pressure and in the moment, and I think that I did that nicely last couple of days.
Shoaib Bashir, 31 over spell. How impressive was he?
He was awesome. He's such a good lad to have in the dressing room as well. He's very funny. He's got great character, and he takes it out onto the field. The way he goes and plays is, it's a good insight to his personality. He's a cheeky young lad with bags and bags of talent, and as you can see, he's not going to step away from the occasion or sort of die wondering. He wants to get involved. He wants to get amongst it, and you saw a really good version of him today.
Were you one of the members having to stretch him out after Jimmy's rogue throw in the outfield? Shoaib, I think we can forgive him for cramping up after 24 overs, but also at 20 years old, I thought he might be able to get a bit further in his spell before cramping.
I don't know. It's quite humid, isn't it? And you say 24 over spell. I've never been there, so it's hard to comment. But like I say, he was awesome. He's been awesome, and Tommy as well backed him up beautifully. The partnership, the pressure that they built, the way he managed to restrict boundaries at a crucial time, and together to get us to the position we finished the day in is really strong. And it's just making sure we don't get ahead of ourselves and we just stay where our feet are and do what we do.
And just finally, a nod to the kind of morale of the group. Marcus Trescothick has his whites on, running the drinks. How high is the spirits at the moment? What was it like seeing Marcus back in whites? I imagine, like myself, you're probably used to him in whites opening the batting for England.
Yeah, it was obviously nice to see him don the kit again. He's actually changing next to me, so I saw him. I got a sneak peek of him trying his shirt on. He was a bit worried, he's a bit tight, but I think he looks good in it, and hopefully we'll see more of that throughout the rest of the week. You have to keep your eyes peeled, but yeah, looks. It's good to have him back out there with us on the field in his whites. Yeah.
Best of luck tomorrow.
Cheers.
Joe Root in conversation with Cameron Ponsonby, and Joe Root in good form with interview as he was with the bat earlier on. Good to hear that about Marcus Trescothick. Bit concerned that the shirt might have been a little bit tight.
Yeah, I thought them when I sent for some white spray paint a white shirt on him, but yeah, I'm not sure that I carried shirt and trousers big enough for Trez, but
well, I can only think of one player it might be.
Well, yeah, but no, it good. Joking aside, it was good to see Trez out, helping out, and it just shows you what the group togetherness they've got. If they're going to send a fielder out, I'm sure Collie would have gone out, and Trez is always there to on hand to help whatever he needs. And you just listen to Root's voice. You hear the other way, the warmth he talks about Hartley and Bashir, and what this group must be like to play in. Not too down after last week. And if they win this week, it'll not be too much up. And then they'll go into hopefully, fingers crossed, we can go into the last Test match 2-2. And if it does do that, then you wouldn't bank. It would be a brave man to back against England going 3-2 up in this series.
So, gentlemen, let's throw it forward to day 3. India are going to resume 134 behind. Goffey, you've already said you feel they've got to get a first innings lead because otherwise this is going to be so difficult.
Well, they have to get another 50, Macca, at least, just to give them a chance then. Because, listen, on this pitch, if you knock wickets over with a new ball, you could collapse. There could be a low score, an 110, 120 score. So England have to just make sure they don't get dismissed. Anything over 200 on their batting last, I mean, it's going to take some doing.
Yeah, nothing in Rohit Sharma body language and Rohit Sharma's captaincy makes me believe that. I think he can get his side in a position to win this game. Jadeja and Ashwin are going to have to get 10 wickets between them, and I think the way England have gone about their job so far, it leads me to believe that whatever's on the horizon, England will have better options, a better mindset, and hopefully will have a better outcome and a more positive outcome to go on to win this Test match.
So what we're effectively saying is, ladies and gentlemen, don't go too hard this evening, because you might want to be setting the alarm for 3:55 tomorrow morning, because that's when we're going to rejoin you on talkSPORT, talkSPORT 2 and the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel, because it looks like this day 3 is going to be a massive part of this series. If England have a really good one, then potentially 2-2 heading to Dharamshala is not a million miles out of the equation. So join us bright and early for what could be an absolutely belter, exclusively live here on talkSPORT 2.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.